The battlefield is about to get a game changer. The legendary A-10 Warthog, known for shredding tanks and striking fear into enemies, is back, faster, tougher, and deadlier than ever. Loved by troops and dreaded by foes, this flying tank has been a powerhouse for decades. Now, with cutting-edge upgrades for 2025, the U.S. Air Force has transformed it into the ultimate weapon for modern combat. What makes this aircraft such a force to be reckoned with? And how will its new upgrades reshape modern combat? Join us as we dive into the jaw-dropping details of the USAF's game-changing A-10 Warthog upgrade for 2025. The A-10 Thunderbolt II, often affectionately called the Warthog, is one of the most iconic and loved combat planes in the U.S. military. Interestingly, its place in the Air Force wasn't exactly welcomed at first. It was largely pushed through by military high command, despite resistance from the Air Force itself. This resistance has roots going back to lessons learned from World War II and earlier conflicts. By then, the U.S. Air Force had developed a doctrine that emphasized the power of strategic bombing and air superiority. The thinking was simple. If someone could knock out an enemy's key infrastructure and resources from the sky, someone could win wars more effectively. Planes like the Boeing B-17 Flying Fortress and the B-29 Superfortress became legendary for their ability to deliver this kind of large-scale devastation. When it came to ground attack missions, the Air Force had its priorities. They considered battlefield air interdiction, strikes designed to disrupt enemy operations away from the front lines, much more crucial than close air support, which provides immediate help to ground troops in combat. The Air Force believed multi-role fighters, like the McDonnell Douglas F-4 Phantom II, could fill this gap if needed. These aircraft could be quickly reassigned to KAS missions if the Army required help, making the idea of building a dedicated attack plane seem unnecessary to many within the service. As a result, the Air Force strongly opposed the concept of creating an entirely new class of aircraft solely for close air support. They felt their existing fleet could handle it. The focus in military aviation was shifting noticeably during this time. Aircraft labeled F for fighter were gaining the spotlight, while A for attack aircraft seemed to fall out of favor. However, the U.S. Army was on a mission to change minds. They argued passionately for a unique aircraft that could check all the boxes, carrying a massive load of ammunition, hovering over target zones for extended periods, maneuvering with exceptional agility, and taking heavy enemy fire without going down. By the early 1960s, the Army was diving deep into new air mobility tactics, which relied heavily on helicopters and required close air support that could keep up with this innovative approach. This need became glaringly obvious during and after the Vietnam War. The Air Force learned the hard way that their existing aircraft, like the Republic F-105 Thunderchief and the F-4C Phantom II, just weren't cut out for the close combat, precision-heavy missions needed on the battlefield. These planes, designed for high-speed and high-altitude missions, struggled to deliver the accuracy, durability, and steady support required for ground troops. Even older World War II-era attack aircraft, like the North American T-28D Trojan and the Martin B-26 Marauder, were brought into action as desperate stopgaps. But these planes, despite their ruggedness, couldn't meet the demands of modern warfare. The T-28D was plagued by its slow speed and lack of adequate armor, making it highly susceptible to enemy ground fire. Despite its potential in specific roles, it simply couldn't hold up against the increasingly sophisticated weaponry of the time. These limitations, along with persistent technical issues, eventually led to the phasing out of its predecessor, the aging B-26 bomber. The B-26 had been a reliable workhorse during World War II, but by the 1960s, it was no longer up to the task of providing modern close air support. To fill this gap, the U.S. military turned to the Douglas A-1 Skyraider, a versatile and durable aircraft capable of carrying over 8,000 pounds of bombs. The A-1 was a much-needed temporary solution, able to stay in the air for long periods and provide fire support on demand. It could circle over a specific area of the battlefield, responding rapidly to calls for help. But there were significant drawbacks. The Skyraider was outdated by the late 1950s, and its production had ceased by 1957, meaning only a limited number were available for use. Additionally, its design was not well suited for tackling heavily armored targets like tanks or fortified positions. This shortcoming was deeply frustrating for ground troops, who were dealing with increasingly well-equipped enemies. As these challenges mounted, the Air Force began seriously considering a more specialized solution, an aircraft that could combine the firepower of a tank with the speed and agility of an aircraft. The idea was not as far-fetched as it might sound. By the mid-1960s, warfare was evolving, and the need for a dedicated close air support aircraft had become clear. General John P. McDonnell, the U.S. Air Force's Chief of Staff, recognized the urgency of the situation and, in 1966, issued a formal request for a specialized CAS aircraft. As the Cold War heated up and the Soviet Union's armored forces became an increasing threat, the U.S. military realized they needed a new approach for their offensive operations. By the time 1970 rolled around, they had revised their requirements for a new aircraft multiple times. One of the most crucial aspects of this new plane was that it needed to be designed around a powerful 30mm rotary cannon, something unlike anything the military had used before. This became such a talking point that some people still joke that the A-10 was the first plane built specifically for a gun instead of having a gun added to an existing plane. The Air Force wasn't just looking for a plane with a big cannon, they had some pretty specific demands. They wanted the A-10 to be able to reach a maximum speed of 460 mph, have a mission range of 285 miles, and be able to take off from a runway just 4,000 feet long. They also needed it to carry a heavy load, up to 16,000 pounds on its external racks. And, in the context of the time, they wanted this all for a price tag of $1,400,000. 6 different manufacturers sent their proposal to the Air Force, each hoping to win the contract. After careful consideration, the Air Force chose Fairchild Republic, a company that would go on to become synonymous with the A-10. In 1973, they signed a contract to produce the first 10 A-10 for a cost of $159.3 million. While the A-10 prototypes were being developed, the Air Force also turned to General Electric to create the powerful GAU-8 Avenger cannon and the TF-34 GE-100 engine, which were both specifically designed for the Warthog. This added another $23.8 million and $14,500,000 to the project. The first production A-10 took to the skies in October 1975, with deliveries kicking off in March 1976. The aircraft quickly gained so much attention that Fairchild, the company building the A-10, ended up delivering 715 Warthogs over the next 8 years, including prototypes and test models. What made the Warthog such a powerhouse was that it was essentially a flying tank. The A-10 was packed with 12,200 pounds of titanium armor, up to 1.5 inches thick, which protected the cockpit and all the key systems. Titanium was still new to the aerospace industry at that time, and the A-10 was one of its first mass applications in aircraft. The armor was so tough that it could withstand direct hits from armor-piercing and high-explosive rounds up to 23 mm in diameter. It could even survive fragments from 57 mm anti-aircraft shells. The engineers who worked on the Warthog were thinking ahead, trying to make an aircraft that could essentially heal itself in battle. On top of all that heavy armor, the A-10 had self-sealing fuel tanks. These tanks were protected by special foam, both inside and outside, to prevent fuel from leaking even if the plane was damaged. And just in case the aircraft was hit in a way that took out the hydraulic systems, the A-10 had a backup plan. It was designed with dual redundant hydraulic flight control systems, meaning 2 systems worked in tandem to control the plane. If both failed, pilots could still fly the Warthog manually, making sure they could get back to base even in the worst-case scenario. During the intense 2003 invasion of Iraq, U.S. Air Force pilot Kim Campbell was piloting an A-10 Thunderbolt, also known as the Warthog, when it took a heavy beating from enemy anti-aircraft fire over Baghdad. The plane's engine was damaged, and its hydraulic systems were shot, making it nearly impossible to control. Yet Campbell kept her cool, flying the plane manually for nearly an hour, despite the damage, and somehow managed to land the battered aircraft safely back at base. Her bravery and skill that day remain one of the most incredible stories of combat survival. It perfectly shows just how tough the A-10 is. One of the key reasons this aircraft survives in battle is its ability to be serviced and operated from field bases right near the front lines. In these high-risk areas, Aircraft engines often get damaged by debris or foreign objects, and being able to fix or maintain the plane on the spot is a huge advantage. The A-10's engines are placed in a unique, protected position, high up and away from most of the risks, so they can keep going even after heavy damage. This clever arrangement also means the plane can keep flying without needing to stop and refuel, which can be a game changer in a fight. Another cool feature of the A-10 is its exhaust system, which is cleverly directed upward above the tail. This helps avoid detection by enemy infrared tracking systems, like those used by surface-to-air missiles, which can lock onto a plane's heat signature. It's one of the reasons why the A-10 has such a strong reputation for surviving tough situations. About the A-10's appearance, it's often called bulky or even ugly, but this tough look is no accident. Every part of the aircraft is designed for functionality and ease of maintenance. Many of its parts are interchangeable, meaning they can be swapped out on either side of the plane, which makes repairs quick and easy. The plane is built to endure whatever gets thrown at it and keeps going, no matter how many scars it might take along the way. If the U.S. Air Force had a competition for saving on aircraft maintenance, the A-10 Warthog would win hands down. This plane isn't just about efficiency. It's built to be tough, reliable, and to save costs while packing a serious punch. Its secret weapon is the massive 30mm GAOU-8 Avenger Gatling gun, a true beast that's as intimidating as it is impressive. The Avenger gun is so big that it dwarfs a Volkswagen Beetle. The A-10 can fire an incredible 3,900 rounds per minute. To keep things from overheating and to save on ammo, it fires in short bursts of just 1 to 2 seconds. When fully loaded, the A-10 carries 1,174 rounds, which gives it 20 seconds of continuous fire at max speed. And if a 1 to 3 second burst of 200 rounds of depleted uranium doesn't solve the problem, someone has to wonder what will. This gun can reach its maximum rate of fire in less than half a second, and it's insanely accurate, hitting 80% of targets within a 40-foot circle from over 4,000 feet away. And then there's the sound of the A-10. That growl from the engines is instantly recognizable and signals that this flying tank means business. If a pilot ever does manage to use up all the rounds in the Avenger, they've got more ammo ready to go. What makes the A-10 even more amazing is how simple and durable it is. It was designed with one goal in mind: to protect ground troops. Its armor is so strong that it can take hits and keep flying, and the cockpit is so well protected that it's often referred to as a flying tank. The Warthog can fly low and slow, giving pilots the ability to provide precise air support and stay in the fight longer than other planes. It's tough, it's reliable, and it's got one of the most formidable weapons in the sky. During the Gulf War, the Warthog proved just how effective it could be, firing an incredible 90% of all the AGM-65 Maverick guided missiles used in the conflict. This missile is known for its accuracy, designed to take out tanks, bunkers, and other hardened targets from the air. Along with the Maverick, the A-10 also carried Hydra 70 unguided rockets and bombs like the Mark 82 and Mark 84, which are standard in many modern airstrikes. It even deployed advanced weapons like the GB-12 Paveway 2 laser-guided bombs and the GBU-38 JDAM GPS-guided bombs, adding even more precision to its already impressive arsenal. In 1994 and 1995, the A-10 was part of NATO operations in Bosnia and Herzegovina, helping to support peace efforts in a very volatile region. It wasn't long before the Warthog was back in the Balkans for Operation Allied Force in 1999, specifically during the Kosovo conflict. There, it played a key role in supporting search and rescue missions, like one where it helped recover a downed F-117 stealth fighter pilot, showing the A-10's versatility not just as an attack aircraft, but also as a lifeline to those in need. After this, it switched back to its ground attack duties, where it truly shines. The A-10's next major deployment came in 2001, with the start of the invasion of Afghanistan. Though it wasn't part of the early phases, it was quickly brought into action a year later, deployed to Pakistan and Bagram Airfield in Afghanistan. There, the Warthog was crucial in the fight against the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. It became known for its ability to conduct close air support missions, where it would strike enemy positions on the ground with deadly accuracy, giving ground troops a much-needed edge in battle. The A-10 Thunderbolt II has had a remarkable history, especially during Operation Anaconda and Operation Iraqi Freedom, which began on March 2003. When the invasion of Iraq started, around 60 A-10 aircraft were deployed, proving their worth right from the start. According to a declassified aviation report from April 30, 2003, these mighty attack planes had an impressive 85% combat effectiveness rate. They unleashed a staggering 311,597 rounds from their powerful 30mm cannon during the invasion, showing just how much firepower they could bring to the table. Between 2006 and 2013, the A-10s continued to serve in Iraq and Afghanistan. They were responsible for about 19% of all close air support missions in these countries. This was more than other famous aircraft like the McDonnell Douglas F-15E, Strike Eagle fighters, and the Rockwell B-1B Lancer bombers. However, the General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcon, another powerhouse, completed the most, handling about 33% of the CAS missions. Still, the A-10 were a crucial part of the team, especially in the fight against terrorists. One of the standout moments for the A-10 came in 2015 during the battle against ISIS in Syria. The Warthogs were deployed as part of Operation Tidal Wave 2, where they played a key role in destroying more than 100 ISIS oil tankers. This was a massive blow to ISIS's funding and supply lines, and the A-10 helped make that happen. They also provided close air support in Afghanistan, where their unmatched accuracy and firepower were essential in ground support missions. While the A-10s continued to make their mark in these regions, by 2018, their roles seemed to ease up a bit. But then, on November 2024, the A-10 was back in action when the situation in Syria escalated again. With tensions high due to the ongoing civil war, the A-10 was called in to protect American troops stationed in the east of the country. They were tasked with taking out enemy vehicles, mortars, and even an armored T-64 tank. The airstrikes occurred around the same time the Assad regime was collapsing, which marked a turning point in the war. In a major operation to stop ISIS from exploiting the chaos in Syria, the A-10 Thunderbolt II, Boeing B-52 Stratofortress bombers, and F-15E Strike Eagle fighters launched a series of powerful airstrikes, hitting over 75 ISIS targets. The goal was to make sure ISIS couldn't benefit from the political instability and continue its destructive activities. Now here's an interesting twist. Even though these airstrikes were a huge success, the U.S. Air Force had seriously thought about replacing the A-10 Warthogs with the newer F-35B Lightning II, a cutting-edge fighter known for its ability to take off and land vertically. The F-35B's versatility seemed like the perfect solution, but after a deep dive into the capabilities, they realized it just wouldn't be able to deliver the number of sorties needed for close air support, which is what the A-10 does best. This decision came about around 2012, just after the U.S. had finished an extensive upgrade to its A-10 fleet through something called the Precision Engagement Program. Running from 2005 to 2011, this program was all about making the A-10s more capable and ready for modern combat. They were given the ability to fly in all kinds of weather, even in tough conditions where visibility is poor. Plus, the A-10s got a major boost in their fire control system, which helped them target enemies more accurately. The aircraft were also fitted with electronic countermeasures to jam enemy radars and smart bomb guidance, meaning they could hit targets with deadly precision. One of the coolest upgrades was to the cockpit. Pilots got brand new multifunction displays that gave them better situational awareness, plus a more comfortable and efficient control setup known as HOTAS, hands-on throttle and stick. This system combined the controls of the F-16 and F-15, giving pilots more control over their plane without needing to take their hands off the throttle or stick. Recently, the military introduced some important software updates that brought significant improvements. One of the most notable upgrades was the addition of Mode 5. This feature boosts the aircraft's ability to identify A-10 and other friendly units, making coordination much smoother during missions. It's a game changer for communication and safety in the air. Another major change was the removal of the old paved penny containers and pylons that were attached to the sides of the aircraft. These were once used to help target enemies, but technology has come a long way. The old system has been replaced with the more advanced AAQ-208 V4 Lightning AT targeting pods, or the Sniper XR targeting pods. These new pods are equipped with laser designators and rangefinders, which are highly accurate and allow pilots to target with pinpoint precision, even from a distance. This makes missions not only safer, but more efficient, allowing for quicker and more reliable strikes on targets. The 2025 upgrades for the A-10 Thunderbolt are all about making this already legendary aircraft even tougher, smarter, and more deadly. These updates focus on three major areas: avionics, survivability, and weapon systems, taking this iconic plane to a whole new level. The avionics, basically the brain of the plane. The A-10's cockpit has gotten a full digital makeover, with high-tech displays that give pilots clear and easy-to-understand information. This helps them keep an eye on everything happening around them, even when flying in tricky conditions. The navigation systems have been upgraded too, so pilots can confidently navigate through bad weather, rough terrain, and all sorts of challenges. But the biggest upgrade is the new data link system. It allows the A-10 to communicate instantly with ground troops and other aircraft, meaning pilots can get real-time updates and respond to threats much quicker than before. In short, this tech makes the Warthog a lot more responsive and ready for anything. While survivability is one of the A-10 most famous features, this plane is built to survive serious punishment and keep flying. And with the new upgrades, it's even tougher. The addition of next-gen composite armor means it can handle even more damage from enemy fire, shrapnel, and other dangers that would take down most other aircraft. Plus, the Warthog now has an upgraded countermeasure system. This includes advanced flares and electronic warfare tools that make it much harder for enemy missiles to lock onto the plane. It's like adding an extra layer of protection, ensuring the A-10 can keep doing its job even in the toughest situations. As for the weapon systems, the upgrades here are huge. The Warthog now has access to the latest precision-guided munitions and air-to-ground missiles, which makes it even more effective at taking out targets on the ground. With a new and improved targeting pod, the A-10 can lock onto targets with even greater accuracy. Whether it's blowing up enemy tanks, destroying missile launchers, or protecting ground forces, this plane can now do it all with pinpoint precision. The upgrades make the A-10 a true powerhouse on the battlefield, capable of striking hard and fast when needed. These upgrades ensure that the A-10 remains one of the most capable and reliable aircraft in modern warfare. It's perfect for close air support, where it can fly low and slow to protect soldiers on the ground in contested areas. And it's also ideal for dominating the skies in smaller-scale conflicts. The combination of new tech and classic Warthog toughness means the A-10 is more versatile than ever and ready to take on today's complex battlefield challenges. Whether it's flying through dangerous environments, surviving enemy attacks, or delivering devastating strikes, the 2025 upgrades make sure the A-10 remains a vital asset in any military operation. It's still one of the best, and now it's even better. The A-10 Warthog's latest upgrades show why it's still a legend on the battlefield. This tough and dependable aircraft keeps proving its worth, and these enhancements are designed to keep it in action for years to come. The upgrades send a clear message to both allies and adversaries. The U.S. military is fully committed to staying ahead in the race for air superiority, especially in a world where global tensions are on the rise. Nicknamed the Hog, the A-10 has become a symbol of resilience and strength, representing the grit and determination of those who fly it. Future upgrades could make this beast even more formidable, potentially including integration with cutting-edge unmanned systems and AI-powered targeting technologies. Imagine a Warthog coordinating seamlessly with drones or using advanced AI to lock onto targets with pinpoint accuracy. It's a glimpse into the next chapter of air warfare. One thing's for sure, the Warthog isn't retiring anytime soon. It continues to own the skies with its unmatched firepower and durability. Watching this iconic aircraft evolve reminds us that even the greatest can get better. The future of the A-10 promises to be just as awe-inspiring as its storied past. Thank you for watching another episode on our channel. While you are still here, click the video on your screen to see more mind-blowing videos like this one.